Hi everybody, Kevin Champagne here. For my final project for my Anthropocene class, I decided to do it on how the fossils will be different for the archaeologists, say in 5,000 years, than the ones we currently find. And I thought that a really good place to start would be at this old cellar hole I found. Not a lot is known about it. It's not on the earliest maps I have of this area, but I'll tell you what my theory is what happened here. A little winded from the walk, but so we've hunted this place probably 30 times, metal detected, and I will turn to see it. Here's the cellar hole, okay? And it's a relatively small hole, so it was a small house. And then on top of that, it had a side stacked chimney. Here's the hearth stone. See this big stone right here? That's where the hearth of the fireplace was. And it was up against the gable. Now usually when these foundations just rot or burn, if it was a fire or burn, the fireplace, which was supported by the building, just tumbles down into a pile. But if you look, this one, you can't really see it, but you can kind of see some of the stones along the way. It actually fell that way. And then over there is the field. Way out there is a stone wall that continues from here. See the stone wall? It goes way around. And all throughout that field, all in spots, there's weird patches of nails. And there's no foundations there. There's no stones or like there was an outbuilding or anything. It's just a patch of flat nails. Patch of flat nails, patch of flat nails, sporadically. So, then all the artifacts we find here all stop right about after the Civil War. Found some Civil War relics, some buttons, and like the coins are all from the 1860s and down. We haven't found any of the like normal sites you would find, things you would find if the house was here in the late 19th century. You know, the Barber dimes and the Barber quarters and the buffalo nickels and wheat pennies. None of them has been found on this site. Everything on this site stops right around the late 1860s. So I went and I snooped and I researched, did some more research, and I found out that westerly Rhode Island's about 20 miles as the bird flies straight in front of us right now. And in 1869, a Category 3 hurricane, the eye of the hurricane went over there. So we're only 20 miles away from a Category 3 hurricane. I believe it was September 1869. It was called Storm Number 6. They didn't have names. But I think this house got wiped out by that hurricane. Because, one, the chimney stack fell over. Like I said, they didn't have any cement or anything. So, it was a stack. The stones just stacked like a stone wall, and the building actually helped it stay upright. So if the building rotted or burnt, the chimney usually just falls down upon itself. But this one has fallen, and you can see right here's my metal detector. So if I go to where the rocks end, you'll see how far away it is. This is all just a single layer of rocks all the way up to here. So right by that tree right there is my metal detector. So we're probably 40 feet from the hole. So I think when the hurricane came through, it wiped it out. The maps I have of this area stopped in like 1887, so I don't have anything going farther back, and this house isn't on that site. So that's my conclusion. I'll get into the next phase of my discussion at my house. And for the rest of today, I'm going to metal detect and have a little bit of fun. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi again. In the earlier video clip, I described to you a solar hole that I discovered by research. I gave this example because, just like future archaeologists, metal detectorists must do a lot of research to locate sites that are not disturbed by a lot of traffic from people. It is very hard to find areas where people have not altered the site from activity. Undisturbed sites are rare, and if you can locate one, they are usually on private land. The sites that are found on public lands have usually already been detected or are loaded with litter from parties or the sites used as a dump site. So imagine now you're an archaeologist, say 10,000 years from now, and you find an interesting site in Michigan. This site would most likely be contaminated by trash deep down because of Michigan's current policy of importing trash from other states and countries and filling in the deep holes that were dug down to bedrock to get fill for building suburbia. These deposits will confuse an archaeologist because the animal remains and artifacts would be from all over the US and Canada. So how much trash is being imported? Let's look. According to a Grand Rapids River article dated February 27, 2020, Michigan imported a total of close to 11.2 million cubic yards in 2019. This amounts to about 373,000 cubic yard, 30 cubic yard roll-off dumpsters. Of that total, about 292,000 roll-offs came from Canada. It's kind of disturbing to find out that we are burying that much rubbish from Canada on American soils. Connecticut contributed about 4,192 roll-offs of trash. These are listed as industrial waste. Kentucky, Missouri, and Oregon, and West Virginia all exported less than 20 cubic yards of trash each. One must ask, exactly, what is in this industrial trash that these states do not want to bury it in their landfills? If I was a Michigan resident, I would sure want to know what is being buried. Have we not learned anything about water pollution, given what was happening in Flint, Michigan? With this amount of trash being imported, you can see how easily an archaeologist of the future could get confused. You may say we are keeping good records of the sites where trash is being buried now. The record-keeping style of today may be inaccessible in the future. One can just look back to the 1990s and how floppy disks were a main source of storage. This technology is pretty much obsolete just 30 years later. So, how obsolete will today's technology be in 10,000 years? To address the issue of where archaeologists of today and the future can find less disturbed sites to dig, 6 researchers from Australia combined their efforts to come up with a 3-step approach to locating better sites. They combined using current-day methods, also known as models, and rewarding each method with a numeric score, which totaled can increase the chances of finding undisturbed sites. The 3 methods they chose to use were the climate envelope model, the preservation model, and the discovery model. In the climate envelope model, the numeric score is rated by where the animal lived. If it is in a now densely human populated area, the score would be low. But if it's in an area with relatively few humans or a remote location, the score would be higher. In the preservation model, The numeric value depends on the location the animal can be found. A swampy area that has low oxygen count and has a better fossil record of a dry area high in oxygen levels, so the score is rated appropriately. In the discovery model, the numeric value is determined by erosion factors and where the animal was found or fossil was found. High erosion areas tend to score high because there is less digging to do. But in an extreme erosion area, the number can be affected because of the wash-away effects of the erosion process. A high total when adding these scores can predict a favorable outcome of fossil locations. The researchers claim that adjustments in the numeric values of their theory can be made accordingly and used anywhere in the world to predict where to find fossils less disturbed by humans. In conclusion, fossil recovery can be disturbed and confused quite easily by human interference. The research being conducted in Australia can increase the odds of finding undisturbed sites. Humans can impact the fossil records in so many ways, and with the dwindling wildlife numbers across the world, finding sites that are natural will be increasingly more difficult. All this taken into fact, and the amount of impacts humans are having on climate, who's to say that humans will even be around in 10,000 years? From what we have learned in this Anthropocene class about climate changes, if we do not start adjusting our CO2 outputs by dramatic measures, we may be condemning the future generations of humans. The Earth can most likely survive the impact of humans. The big question is, can humans survive the impact of humans? Happy holidays all, and goodbye.